Today we'll be reviewing our Nspire basics and linear regression. So go ahead and write that out. Now, whenever you usually begin with your calculator, you might want to select by pushing the on button right here. Anytime I put a box around something, that means it's a button, okay? So just in case you haven't used one of these before, the on button is located right here. Now, what you'll notice is whenever you push the on button, it'll take you to the home screen. Now, once you're at the home screen, you may want to do something different so one thing you may want to do is select a new document. So let's go ahead and push the number 1. And then it asks you this question. Do you want to save this unsaved document? So whenever you see that, you actually want to select no by simply arrowing over to the right, highlighting no, and pushing enter. So I'd like to get to the nitty-gritty linear regression. I'd like to take a bit of data that might not be perfect, and I want to create an equation. So in essence, using a calculator to do all the hard work that we've been doing for the past 2 weeks and continuing this week. So let's take this data. We're going to take this data that I just listed out here, and we're going to input it into our calculator. To do so, I would want to push the number 4. The reason I want to select number 4 is because it says add lists and spreadsheets, and that's exactly what this is. We're going to turn this into a spreadsheet. Now, you don't have to highlight anything. Literally, just push the number 4. Now, whenever we take a look at this, it really looks like a computer. It doesn't look like a table like what I want it to look like. So what I'm going to have to do is change the variable names, because right now it says A, B, C, D, and well, that just doesn't make sense. Now, to do so, what I need to do is arrow up 2 times. So I'm going to come over to this little mouse pad here. I'm going to arrow up 2 times, and I'm going to highlight A. Now, once I've highlighted A, I'm going to then push the X button and then enter. Now, your X button is going to be listed all the way down here. So if you'd like, you can even come on over just so that you can be aware your X button is here, and we'll be using the Y button in just a bit as well. So we're going to push the X button. I love how it highlights in red so you can see it, and then enter. Now I'd like to repeat the same process to change my next column to Y. So to do that, I would again arrow over to the right, arrow up once to highlight B. This time I'm going to push the Y button and then again push enter. So now that I have changed my 2 variables, I want to begin to input my data. So I will simply go backwards. I'm just going to arrow over and then down to get to row 1, column X, and then I just begin to enter in my data. Now, do note that you must push enter after each value. So I'm simply going to type 1, 3, 4, 6, and then I'm going to repeat with the Y values in the next column. So I'm just going to arrow on over and then head on up and repeat 4, 8, 9, and 14. Remember, you must push enter after each value. Once we've entered in our data, we want to actually put in a new document, and that one's going to be very easy. Simply push Control I, and I went ahead and highlighted Control I right here. So whenever you push Control I, it gives you the option to insert any one of these options down here. And what I'd like to select is actually option number 5, which says add data and statistics. So let's go ahead and push that now. And it gives us what looks like a scatter plot, and it just doesn't really make sense right now. So I'd like to change a couple of things on here. I'd like you to go ahead and use your little cursor to move around and click to add variable, the one on the left side first, okay? Now, this is actually going to be our y-axis, so you're going to select y. And that means we're going to repeat this process, and we're going to select this to be our, obviously, x-axis. Now, I really like this because as I look at my data, I never would have assumed what sort of regression I may want to go by. So I'm actually going to do a quick sketch of this right up on top. Like I said, just a rough sketch, X, Y, and I put my blue little dots. Now, as I look at this, I can see that this really does look quite linear. I'm pretty sure with the more data I would have, it would maybe look more bundled up into something that looks like a line. Now, because it does look like a line, let's go ahead and zoom back out here. Oh, a little too much, sorry. And let's go ahead and continue because I want to create a linear regression. To be even more specific, I want to create a linear equation for this regression by first selecting. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my menu button. And from here, I'm going to have the option to analyze. So I'm going to select option 4. And it's very simple. It shows me that where I should go to regression right here. So I'm going to select option number 6. Oops, so sorry. And obviously, since we already know that it appears to be linear in shape, we're going to go ahead and select option number 1, show linear mx plus b. So it's going to give it to us in slope intercept form, which I really like. So let's go ahead and push the number 1. And look at that. It even draws out our picture for us and tells us what our equation is. And I'm going to go ahead and write this large. Y is equal to, and I'm going to obviously round this off just a bit, 1.96x, and then plus 1.88. Now, yes, I understand that this is a lot of information all at once, but I wanted to make sure that you had each and every one of these steps written out so that you can do a couple of problems on your own. One last thing that we may need to use for tomorrow's assignment is control. Oops. There we go. Control T for a table. So in this case here, I may want to insert a new document. Here we go. Like maybe a graph, and I could type in my equation. And then plus. And simply select Control T for a table, and I can look up certain values, which will be very handy for our word problems. All right, so in that case, we have our basics for a calculator to help guide us in our assignment.